Yeah, hi everyone, good morning. Let me know if you are able to see my screen. You can also unmute yourself and also comment in the chat box as well. You are able to see my screen, guys?
Yes.
Yes. So welcome to the day 3 of this offensive cybersecurity training bootcamp. So before starting the lab setup part, let's do a quick recap of the day 2. Like what are the topics we have covered in the day 2. We have learned about the network IP and again this version as well, version 6, the network, about the dynamic static IP, public private IP, and the range of public and private. Anyone have any doubts on these topics? So in the network, we have discussed about the what is network. It's just a group of 2 or more computers that are basically connected with each other and communication happening in between the network. In the area networks, we have discussed these things: LAN, MAN, and WAN last time. So LAN is a local area network. It covers a very small area range, like offices, buildings, and school campus. Second was the MAN, that is metropolitan area network. It covers a more area as compared to LAN. And in this, the example would be 2 different cities. Like if where communication is happening between 2 different cities, then it will be considered as a MAN. And if the communication happening between 2 different countries and the continents, then it would be a WAN, like wide area network. Okay. In the IP address, we have discussed like what is the IP address. So IP address is a unique address that we use in the internet to identify as a unique identity. In that, there are 2 versions, IP version 4 and IP version 6. We have discussed this as well, like what is IP version 4 and how you can identify, like if you are seeing anything like this is a IP version 4. So basically it is a combination of numbers that is basically connected with the dots. In the IP version 6, it is a basically combination of alphanumeric and it has 8 octets. Okay, and this IP version 4 has 4 octets and 1 octet can go up to from 0 to 255. So that's the maximum limit of that thing. And there are some limitations in IP version 4. That is why IP version 6 was introduced by INA. So that's a internet authority that distributes and allocates IPs to the service providers. Okay, so these are the main key differences. And there is one more thing, that IP version 6 is connected with colons, and in IP version 4 it is connected with dot. In the static and dynamic IP addresses. Okay, so dynamic IP addresses are the IP address that is basically assigned by your service providers. Okay, and it is basically a random IP that will basically available to, like if any IP is free and by your service provider, then that particular IP is going to assign to you. So let me just write it. So DSCP is going to assign you automatically IP. And for static IP, you have to use a fixed IP. So basically it's a fixed IP. So that IP basically is going to be assigned by your service provider, and service provider is going to help you with that part, like how you can configure that thing. And the public and private IP we have discussed, like what is public IP. So any IP that you are using to connect with the internet, that is public IP, and any IP that is you are using locally in your network and for the communication purpose. So basically like your local area. But these IPs are not connected with the internet. So these are the private IPs. And there are some range of the privates and the public IPs. Okay, so that range, let me show you with an example. Here you can see that this is the range of the private and the public IP addresses. There are some classes as well in this, A, B, C, D, E. Last 2 classes are basically reserved for multicasting and experimental purposes. Okay, that we are going to check later. So, and here you can see that these are the IP range. Now today we are dedicatedly focusing on the lab setup part. Okay, but before moving further, there are a few things that I want to clarify, that like it won't be possible for me to cover entire networking in 1 or 2 days. Okay, so in this bootcamp we are only learning specific things that are going to help you to understand the topic that we're going to cover in future. Okay, so we are ending the first part of basics of networking here, and rest of the topics like OSI model, subnets, and a lot of concepts as well as we are going to cover in the training part, that we are going to start from the scratch again after this bootcamp ends. Because in this bootcamp, like we have targeted topics with a limited time that we need to cover. So let's start the lab setup part. That is the main topic of our today's class. Okay, but before moving further, there are 2 things that I need to show you. The 2 networking devices. Okay, so first would be the switch, second would be the router. So you should have at least knowledge about the what is switch and what is router. Okay, so that thing I need to highlight before starting the lab part. So that is going to help you to understand better. So if you have connected all the systems internally into the system, okay, and thus communication is happening internally into the system, like here I have drawn a diagram. Here you can see that. So let me zoom in. Here you can see that these are the devices that have a private IP address range like 10.0.0.2, and this have .3, .4, and .5. So these are the 4 devices, okay, that are basically present in a network. So basically I have just renamed it as a team 1, that is a IT. So in that there are 4 devices and these are connected with a switch. So what switch is doing here? So it is connecting all the devices with each other and the communication is happening in between all of them by help of switch, because switch again is a layer 2 device. So layering part we are going to discuss in the OSI model, like how it works and what are the other things like router, switch, and where the layering comes up, data link layer, hardware layer. So everything we are going to discuss later part. But for now we are only going to focus on the switch. Okay, so switch, with the help of switch you can communicate internally in the network. So basically if you have 4 devices, like, or maybe 200 plus devices in the network and you have to communicate internally, so by using this device, so switch is a device again, okay, so in this switch device you can communicate internally to the network, okay, but there is a limitation of switch. You can't connect with the internet. Like if you have to connect with the internet, then you need a router. So there you can see that there is a router, okay, that is basically connecting to the internet part. Okay, so here I have set up 2 different networks. Okay, first basically for the team 1, that is basically IT, information technology team, that is present in an organization, and there's a team 2, that is basically a networking team, okay, that is present in a different network. Okay, they have different IP ranges. Okay, again these are the internal IP address, and again these team 1 and 2 both are using the internal IPs. Okay, so again here are multiple devices that are connected with the help of this device called switch, and again same with the this as well. But to connect with the internet they need a device, that is we are known as a router. Okay, so the router is a device that basically connects with the switch and provides the internet connection. Okay, so by using this you will be able to connect with the internet, and here you can see that the internet is coming here. Okay, and this particular thing is known as a gateway. So basically all the traffic is basically going through only this gate. Here you can see that there is only one gate, through all the gate traffic is going there. That thing we known as a gateway. So like let me give you an example. So in our house as well, mostly in our house, like there is only one gate for exit or entry. Here you can see same this as well. So this is a gateway in which all the traffic is going to the internet and coming from the internet. Okay, this is the only gate. So it's kind of a main gate, you can say that. So it's a gateway, so in which all the traffic comes up and goes. Okay, all the incoming and outgoing calls are going to happen through this gateway only. Okay, so router has the capability to connect your internal devices to the internet. Okay, so router is going to provide the internet to you. So these are the 2 main devices that we use to design a network usually. So this is about the switch and router. Okay, the detailed discussion we are going to discuss in the OSI model, like what are the other devices. Like earlier age we are used to use other devices like hubs and bridges. So basically hubs is completely replaced by switch. Okay, repeaters, so these are some kind of outdated device. Okay, so that's why we are not discussing them. And there are some new devices are also comes up in the market that act as a both switch and router. Okay, so it completely depends on which device you are buying to manage your organization. It will be good if you have an idea of how switch works and how router works. But there is one issue in that thing, like in complete this architecture. So it is completely vulnerable. Here you can see that there is no any kind of security implemented over there. So it is a gate. Okay, so this was a gate. Okay, any connection is coming up and any connection is going up. So there is no security check, or you can say that there is no security tool was implemented that is going to monitor and blocks the unauthorized access. So most of the time organizations implements at least a firewall to monitor and blocks the unauthorized traffic. Basically they configure in that way, like they will be able to manage all the incoming traffic. They will be able to monitor and block all the outgoing traffic as well. Like what are the things that we are sending to the internet and what are the things that we are receiving from the internet. So basically it acts as a protection. Okay, it acts as a basically additional layer of security. So let me give you a diagram like how the firewall looks up. Here you can see that it is basically kind of a wall that provides a security to our local area. So no other any attacker, if any attacker is there, then he is going to filter out the any malicious information. So basically if attacker is passing any kind of malicious information, then firewall is going to provide the protection against that information. But again, firewall has some limitations as well. That is why attacker is able to bypasses the firewall as well. Again, like even if the physical firewall was implemented, there are some chances that you will be able to bypass physical firewall as well, because firewalls works on the predefined signatures. Okay, so basically there are some sort of information that is already inbuilt in the firewall, and from that firewall mechanism works. So basically, like if attacker is passing, let me give you an example. So like in the firewall, it is clearly mentioned that if attacker is going to pass you the information A, so there is a already predefined rule in the firewall present that is basically going to block it, because for the firewall it is a malicious thing. But in case attacker has supplied the B, then firewall again is going to look into their configurations, like is a B is going to be a malicious thing or not. So again, like if they are not able to find it, like firewall is not able to find the B character in their configuration file, then they are going to allow it. And that's why attacker is going to craft or bypass, is going to craft a payload in a creative manner to bypass the firewall check. Okay, again, apart from this, there are many ways to bypass the firewall that we are going to check later, like how we can bypass the application firewall and what are the other test cases, because these things usually works on the predefined value that is basically provided in the configurations. Okay, so this is the at least a security device that organization usually implements to blocks or to monitor the complete traffic that is basically coming from the organization and going from the organization. It acts as a kind, you can say that it acts as a security guard. Okay, like you can see that like over the banks there was a security guard that is basically set up over there, and that checks like what how many employees are basically coming in, and what type of data they are carrying, or you can say what type of assets they are carrying, like are they carrying any kind of malicious thing on their self or not. Okay, so that kind of activities the firewall usually monitors. Okay, in that there are two concepts as well, IDS and IPS, like intrusion detection system and intrusion prevention system. So one system is basically for the detection part, like if any malicious activity is happening over there in the organization, then IDS is going to detect that and IPS is going to prevent that. So basically it is for the prevention part. Then we are going to check in the firewall, like we have a dedicated session for the firewall part in which we are going to understand how the firewall exactly works. Okay, here you can see that I think this will be a clear diagram. So here hacker, you can see that their hacker is passing some data to the internet and it is basically bouncing back because the firewall is implemented. This wall is basically protecting the organization's internal systems. Okay, so basically here you can see that this data is going to the server, coming from the server. So basically it is analyzing, monitoring the complete traffic over there. So that is the main thing over here. So these are the two things, okay, that you should have at least idea of. So here I have drawn the complete diagram, like how these things work. Okay, so firewall usually implements over there. Over this gateway, this firewall implements, and from this complete traffic is going to be monitored, and if any unauthorized access is going to come up, then it will be going to be blocked. So this is about the firewall switch, and out these are just the basics. Okay, detailed part we are going to cover after this bootcamp. Okay, because in that we are going to start from the completely basics part, and we have a sufficient time, okay, to cover each and every topic in a very detailed manner. So now let's start the lab part. So before starting, like many of you may have the question, why are we setting up the lab environment? Anyone have this question? Please unmute yourself, or you can comment in the chat as well.
Yeah, we are actually setting up the lab environment to get some hands-on experience of the offensive part of the cyber security portion, for which this bootcamp has been organized, I believe.
So, Vishal, just one more question. So, why we generally set up the lab environment? Just a question for you.
Because if something goes wrong, it should not directly affect our base systems and base computers. That's why we set up the labs, so that we have, let's say, a virtual computer through which we can perform all of the report, whatever we are, we can run all the applications that we want to run, and it will not basically impact the system that we will be using on a daily basis.
Yeah, that's correct. That's the main reason.
We require an isolated environment basically, which should be free from anything.
Yeah, isolated environment. Before setting up the lab, there is one thing: virtualization. Anyone know what is virtualization? Because that's the main concept we need to understand before setting up the lab.
Virtualization, I believe, is the technology that lets you divide the computing power of your system into multiple different virtual computers.
Yeah, so basically earlier we have a problem, like suppose if we have to use multiple operating system at a single time, then we have to buy maybe additional systems, okay, and it's quite expensive thing, okay, that not everyone is going to afford it. So that's why this technology comes up, okay. So in that you can use or you can create multiple virtual machines that we known as a VM, okay. So let's discuss what is virtual machine first. So instead of using physical machine, okay, every time for deploying any OS or to perform any kind of task, okay, then we are going to use virtual machines. That in that we are going to deploy the operating system or any lab, or you can say any operating system usually, okay, to perform any kind of task. Okay, and again that is completely isolated from your main system. Like suppose, let me give you an example. So I have a main system. So basically it's my laptop on main system. I have installed my OS, that is operating system called Windows 10. In that Windows 10, I'm going to deploy some different operating system, that is basically maybe Linux or Mac or maybe other distro. So I think these are the two. And in the Linux as well, there are others like Kali or Parrot or Ubuntu. So these are some quite famous operating system that maybe you have used in past. So these operating systems you can deploy on a single operating system. So we are basically managing these all operating systems, okay, from a single machine. So these are virtual machines. Okay, we have created the virtual machines in our main physical machine. Now we are going to deploy the virtual machines in our main system. Let's discuss the lab. Again, labs are of two types. Like it depends on your system, like which one you are preferring. First one would be offline. Second is online. Offline. So basically, it depends on your system configurations. Like if you have sufficient system configurations, then yes, you have to use the offline version of the labs. Okay, so basically offline you can set up through their tools. Two tools comes up for virtualization. So virtual machines you can say. First would be VirtualBox. Second would be VMware Player. Okay, so again these are the free, but VMware is only for personal use. Okay, like and there are some limitations in the commercial one. Also in the free version of the VMware. So I suggest use a VirtualBox. Again, it's an open source one, so you can use that one. Again, it's my favorite one as well because it has a quite decent UI as well as compared to others. So we in this lab part we are going to focus on this VirtualBox, like how we can set up it and how we are going to set up other machines. So in lab we are going to set up attacker machine, even victim machine, but this part we are only going to set up for the ethical hacking. But there are other fields as well, like after this ethical hacking is going to be completed training, then we are going to move forward with the other trainings that would be penetration testing. Okay, and then we are going to explore the web applications, Android, and the API testing. So let's discuss what are the offline and the online version we have. In the offline, you can download a Kali Linux for free that is going to be act as a attacker machine, and as a victim, you can use Metasploitable for ethical hacking. For penetration testing, like if we talk for the offline version, we have sufficient resources are available to set up. So we can set up DV, that is basically damn vulnerable web application. Second would be OWASP use shop. But this version is basically also comes in the online tools as well. Like there are platform called tryhackme that provides you just create your account over the tryhackme and you can use this lab. Okay, you don't have to set up on your own machine. Again, for the DVWA, same as well for the DVWA. Like you just have to create the account over the tryhackme and you can access both these labs. There is no need to set up on your own machine. Okay, so basically that is not going to impact your speed of your own laptop. Okay, so basically that's just the benefit of using the online. Again, I think it's the free in the free version, like you will be able to use them. But for online, if we talk about, again, there are few of them are free or few of them are paid. It depends like which labs you are choosing. So let's discuss for the ethical hacking part. For the online labs, like mostly we talk, it would be Portswigger. So Portswigger we are usually used for web application. Okay. And again, we are going to see all of them just by next 5 minutes. Okay, so don't worry about them, like what are the labs we are discussing. So let's discuss all the labs firstly, then we are going to check them one by one. Okay, like how to download them and what will be the complete procedure to setting up the lab. Okay, so we are just discussing them first. So Portswigger is the one, so for the web application. And apart from Portswigger, pentesterlab that you can use, but again pentesterlab is a paid one. There are few labs that is available for free, but most of them are paid. Okay, and yeah, for Android and API like if you talk about VMware and API is the more common one that we usually. Apart from that, there are 4 to 5 labs are available over the GitHub that we are going to use over at the time of API pen testing. And for Android, we are going to use some vulnerable applications like Insecure Bank, Diva. Okay, so these are some Android vulnerable applications that we are going to use at the time of Android penetration testing. Okay, so these are the labs that you can use. Portswigger is again completely free and have a variety range of labs and all the concepts of web application that you need, okay, to learn. So let's discuss how we are going to download it. So firstly, about the setting of the tool, main tool, that is basically VirtualBox. Let's go for the VirtualBox download. Just search for this thing, and here you will see the download page. Just after this, just click on this Windows host, and here you can see that this VirtualBox comes up. So just download this, and here I've already downloaded it, so I'm not downloading it. So after downloading this, just search for the images like Kali Linux. Here you can see that download Kali Linux, and here you can download the Kali Linux. So you just have to download the virtual machine. Just go to this, just download the VirtualBox version, that is basically 64-bit. So download from this. Again, I have also downloaded this, but I have the older version of Kali Linux. Okay, so here you can see that these are the older versions. Okay, so now let's download this as well. 2023. I have the 2022.3 version of VirtualBox. Okay, so but here you have to download the latest version of the VirtualBox, Kali Linux VMware VirtualBox. Okay, so just download it. Here you can see the downloading was started. So it will take around 12 minutes. Till then, let's discuss other things. So here you can see that I have already set up my attacker machine. Okay, that is Kali Linux, and we are going to start that like a victim machine was also installed. So let's discuss next machine, that is pentesterlab. Just go to this link, sourceforce.net. Okay, and download this one, like download latest version. So you will get the latest version of the lab, and you will be able to configure it. So like to configure it, you just have to click on the file and import appliance. Okay, or there's one more thing you can do is that you can create your own as well. Like suppose where you have to locate it and what are the, but again here you have to configure it completely from scratch. Okay, so again, like if you are downloading the VM image, then there is no need to create new thing. You just have to import it, and if there is any OS or anything you are downloading, okay, that is basically ISO file, then you have to set up completely new. So that's how you have to set up the machines for the ethical hacking part. In that, only two machines. Like first one is the Kali Linux, that is basically our attacker machine. Secondly would be the Metasploitable 2, that is going to be act as a victim machine. Let's discuss about the other machines like Portswigger lab. Here you can see that these are all the labs that is basically available over the Portswigger. So these are the SQL injection. There you can see that how many labs are available for the SQL injection. So you will be able to cover a variety range of concepts over there. Okay, so and it's completely free. Okay, so there is no need to pay for anything over the Portswigger. So again, for process scripting, so for every attack you will find a lot of labs over there. These are a bunch of labs you can use. And for practicing, there is one more online lab that you can use, that is test.php. So yeah, you can practice your skills over this website as well. So this is again dummy and vulnerable website that have multiple vulnerabilities. So you can exploit them. Okay, like LFI is there, SQL injection was there, process scripting, HTML injection. So there are bunch of vulnerabilities over there that you can practice over here. So this is for the web application. Okay, for Android, let me just leave a. This is the GitHub that is available over the GitHub. So here you have to just download the APK from this device, and here you can see that these are the challenges available in this APK that we are going to solve at the time of Android application penetration testing training. And apart from this, there is one more, that is Insecure Bank version 2. So here you can see that APK is already listed over there. So you have to download them, and these are the I think vulnerabilities that is available over there. So that we are going to test at the time of Android PT. Apart from that, if we talk about the APIs, they are available again over the lab. Okay, so VMware vulnerable API. So, and these are the endpoints, and these are the vulnerabilities that we are going to test at the time of API. So just set up these labs, okay, at your environment. For now, just only set up these two, like attacker machine and the victim machine. That would be enough, okay, for you to set up. Okay, so let's again, it's going to take some time. 9 minutes is going to take. Till then, let's open the attacker machine. Let's start what are the things we have in the attacker machine. I'm just going to quickly start this and going to quickly navigate you like how it works usually. Let's open it. So here you can see that this is the main home screen of the Kali Linux, and here we have a terminal. Let's clear this. Let me just zoom it a little bit for you. So here are a few commands, okay, that you can use to navigate into the terminal. And firstly, I will suggest with the sudo part. So by just tapping the sudo, you will be able to elevate your privileges. So currently you are logged in as a normal user, that is basically a Kali. Now we are going to escalate our privileges to the root user. So now type that password of the Kali user, and here you can see that I am switched to the root user. Okay, and again, this is my current directory. I can also see that from the pwd command that basically print the working directory. So here you can see that that's my current directory that I'm in. Now let's see how we can do other things as well in the Kali Linux. Like suppose if I have to create a file, then I can create it from the touch. Like today I'm going to create the day3 file. So just check by ls. Here you can see that day3 file was created. Now suppose if I have to put up a content over this file, then I'm going to use the echo command. So like suppose I have to put a command called, I'm going to put up this content over this file, that is day3.txt. Okay. Again, you can complete this name by just pressing the tab button over there. So just hit the enter. Just to read any content over any file, just type the get command and the file name of the file you want to read the content. So here you can see that this content is published inside this file. Okay, so you can do that as well. But again, if I have to write anything again over this file again, like echo, if I'm writing my work is done, and if I'm just using the same operator over there, then it is going to overwrite the main content. So here you can see that earlier I have written the my name is Prashant Sharma. Now let's see get, it is basically overwritten. So this basically text is overwritten by this one. Then how we can append it? So basically for this you just have to use the double operators. Okay, so now we already have typed this work is done. Now we are going to type, let's get this command. So here you can see that it is basically appended, and this particular text is not overwritten. So to update this particular file, you can use these commands: apt open get update, apt get. Again, it is going to take some time. That's why I'm not running this. So, but you can run this as well. Okay. There is one more operator that we use in the Kali Linux, that is pipe. By using pipe, we can use the same commands. Like so, basically, pipe passes the input of the first command to the second one. Like suppose, let me type get day3.txt file. Now I have to run a command. That's here you can see that is for the colon. Here you can see that for the colon part. So pipe I will explain later. So for the colon part, it basically ensures that the command was run. So here I'm able to run both the commands at the same time. So ls is basically for the listing the content of the present directory, and get is basically for the reading the context inside any file. So this is for the semicolon. So let's see if the file was downloaded. I think it's still pending. Still 3 minutes was left. Let's see a few more commands. History you can use to get the history of the what are the commands that you type. Okay, and apart from this, the cd you can use. So it will basically use for changing the directory. Change directory. So like currently I'm in Kali directory, and there are multiple directories are available. ls cd, and I have to jump to this directory. So I can use the downloads. Okay, and here you can see that I'm able to move to this directory, that is basically downloads. Again, Kali Linux is a case sensitive. Okay, and there are few commands that are different in the Windows and the Linux. Okay, like for the checking the IP configurations, we use the AF config. Here you can see that this is my IP configurations like 10.15 I have, that's my localhost IP. And for the Windows, if I'm going to check, then I don't have to use this IF config. The command will be different. It will be IP config. And here you can see that my IP address. Okay, that's my IP version 6. So there are a few commands that are completely different. Like suppose here we are using cat to reading the content. Okay, but here we have to use the type command because cat doesn't work here. And here you can see that cat is not recognized as an internal or external command. So there are few commands you need to remember while using the Linux. So these are not common for both the platforms like Windows and Linux. So let's see few more commands apart from this. So you can use this as well to just see all the content. Okay, and if I have to copy the content from one location to second location, that would be cp. cd dot you can use to just jump back to the previous directory. Here you can see that earlier I'm in downloads and now I'm in the Kali folder. So basically it is just sending me back one directory back. Okay, so ls. So here you can see that we have a file called day3 cp day3.txt, and now we are going to copy this file into the desktop folder. So let's get the content inside the desktop folder. So here you can see that I'm still in the Kali directory, but I'm able to check the content of this file. I'm not traveling to any particular folder. I'm just viewing the content from the same directory. So that thing you can also use. So here you can see that I'm able to see the content of Day-3 file because it is copied from one location to this desktop folder. Okay. You can use clear command to just clear all the objects that is available over your terminal screen. So here you can see that. Again, it will be different for this Windows. So I think for this we have to use CLS. So CLS for the Windows. And there is one thing called man. So man is basically kind of a manual. Like if you are not sure about any command, like which one you have to use. So like if I have to look for any manual, like ifconfig, then I'm going to use man ifconfig, and after this my terminal is going to display me complete manual of the command. Here you can see that all the options that is available for to use on this command. Here you can see that these are all the commands, and to quit from this part you can just use this. Now let's talk about the operators as well. Okay, so there is one operator that we have used recently, that is basically semicolon. So this operator won't require you to like just run the first command. Like suppose if I am running get okay, yeah, okay. If I'm running anything like melee, here you can see that it doesn't check like first command was executing successfully or not. It is going to execute the second command successfully. It is not checking like when there are some operators that usually check like whether the first command was executing successfully or not. Then they are going to run the second command. But for this operator, it is basically specifically designed to just, it is not going to check like whether the first command was executed successfully or not. So it does not require the first command to execute successfully. So that is the operator that you can use. So basically it will be good if you are building any automation, any kind of automation in the Linux, because if you know the bash, okay, then it is going to help in your bug bounty journey as well, because you will be able to automate the complete framework of the bug bounty. In the bug bounties, like there are multiple vulnerabilities that you can automate on yours. Okay, like if you have the knowledge of the bash, like how the operators work and other things. Okay, now here you can see that, so there is one thing called AND that we uses. Okay, so to run the commands together. Okay, so there is again an operator. Okay, apart from that, there is one more command, grab. Grab we usually uses to find any kind of, it uses basically a regex. Okay, so let's check the manual of the grab that describes how it works. Here you can see just the complete brief description about the grab. So basically it searches in the patterns, like kind of a regex it usually use. Okay, regular expressions. So in that it usually checks for the patterns, like if you are looking for any kind of file or any kind of folder. So through this grep utility, you will be able to find the files and folders into this operating system. So let's also check the other files, like some sensitive files available over the Linux, etc password. Here you can see that I'm able to see the available information all my users present in the Kali Linux. Again, it's a sensitive, but here is just is that the name was passwd, but here in this file the passwords are not stored. It usually contains the information of users only. So don't get confused, like passwd file contains the password of the Linux users. Okay, password of the Linux users is stored in the shadow file. Here you can see that the password hash, this is my password hash. So the password hash of the Kali in the Kali operating system is usually stored in the, not usually, it's basically stored in the shadow file. So just to note, like sometimes the interviewer can ask you. Here we use a common thing, that is apt, to install or remove any tools. Okay, so that is basically advanced package tool that we use, okay, to install any kind of packages over the Linux operating system. There are a few other commands. Let me check. You can use mkdir to create any directory. Like suppose if I have to create any dummy directory, okay, then I can use this to create the directory. So here you can do ls and dummy directory was created. And if I have to remove this, then or if I have to remove any file as well, so I can use this rm file and again the arguments, so recursively, and we are going to use. So here you can see that I'm going to remove that. That's ls. This file was removed. Same with the folder as well. I'm going to use this command to remove the folders available over this channel. So these are the main commands. I think the lab was downloaded. Let's check. So now we have to extract the zip files again for the same as well, attacker file as well. So from this, I think you are going to get the zip file. So just extract that zip file, okay, and import that to the VirtualBox. Now, I think 2023.2 version. So I'm going to extract. It is going to take some time, but yeah, it's only take 17 seconds. Let's wait. We have got one error, but let's check like if the file was corrupted or not. You can see that file was not coming. We are getting some error while importing this file. I'll check the error on my own and will resolve that and will install that file. So again, I have VMware as well, okay, for my own use. So I have the Windows 10 and the Windows not VirtualBox. Yeah, here I have already installed my Kali Linux. Okay, so you can use this as well, but again, it's a paid version. So it's on you, like if you want to use that or not. So for the lab setup part, just download these two. Okay, and if you are getting any error, just let me know, because I'm also going to check, like, because there is one error we have got while extracting the file. So maybe you have to download it. Okay, and there is just one more thing that I need to highlight is that in the VirtualBox, most of the time your machine got crashes. So that's again a limitation of this VirtualBox. Okay, so if you are willing to use any kind of commercial or paid software, so you can use that VMware. Again, it's a good option to just move for that part. Okay, so that is it for today's, guys. So anyone have any doubts on anything, just let me know. Okay, no one has any doubts or anything, then I'm just dropping off. Okay, so thank you again for joining in, guys. So I'm just dropping off. So if you have anything, just you can also message me over the WhatsApp as well, because we are already connected over the group. Let's connect tomorrow on the same time. Also, if you are facing any issues while deploying the lab, just let me know. I'll share you the proper references for that, or I'll create a proper document for setting up the lab and will share you with. Okay, so you will be able to configure it properly on your system.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, thank you guys for joining in.